Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Hello. Hello. Are we live? Are we live? It just spontaneously turned live. It doesn't normally do that. It normally asks me to click the button. Yeah, okay, we are live. Hello, welcome to Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health. I'm Jake Symons. For the next half an hour, we're going to be having just that, a big friendly conversation about mental health. Thanks for joining me. It's great you're here again for another Mental Monday. If you're here for the first time, this is an unscripted conversation about mental health. So we basically talk about everything that's kind of going on in the world, mental health related, obviously. As a mental health advocate, obviously you can talk to me about stuff, though I'm not a therapist, so don't, just a chat is fine, but, when things start going further, that's kind of when you need to just talk to someone that can actually help you, which is not me. There's not really any house rules here, other than trigger it away from triggering topics, and just understand that people's experiences are different, so what someone else might go through isn't wrong. Because that is what they've gone through. Just because it's not what you've gone through doesn't mean it's wrong, etc. If you do need to talk to anyone, Samaritans 116 123, or chat online if you're under 19, which is 0800 11 11. As this is unscripted, I've got a few bullet points on my screen, on one of my screens, to keep the chat going. And then I've got all my chat on the other side. So, if you want to reach me and you want to get involved and the chat on YouTube is not good enough for you, you can reach me by DM on Instagram, by @in or DMing me on Twitter, or by email, all of which are linked in the description. So, get in touch, say hello. If you speak in the chat, I'll probably read it out. If you message me privately, I probably won't read it out unless you tell me to, but, just message me when we're not live, because I may forget and read out your message. So if you do want to talk to me privately and not have it contribute to Mental Monday, then just message me after, which is fine. There we go. That is a short introduction. I've tried to compress that. I know that I try and do the introduction, and I think it's important for me as like a creator to try and have those disclaimers in place, because obviously that has to be set out up front, but I don't want to, drag it out. We all kind of know Mental Monday by now. We've been doing it since 2018. we all are very familiar with Mental Monday by now, so that's fine. Right, so first of all, we'll start with our usual question. Actually, before we do that, we're going to talk about the hair. The hair hasn't been cut since August. The hair was last cut in August. It's getting quite bad. I'm aware of that. I am going to be moving it everywhere to try and get rid of it, because it is, I've given up with it, to be honest. So yeah, I just need it to get cut. That would be really good. So we're gonna start off then with the usual question, and that is how the last 2 weeks have been. How have your last 2 weeks been? Do let me know in the chat. Come say hi. Let me know that you are watching. My last 2 weeks has been doing a website redesign. So that's been one of the more stressful experiences of my life, especially considering I was kind of doing it by myself because we were kind of really busy. So it was my own personal website, which is also linked in the description. So it was like I just had to do it myself, which was fun. I definitely learned a lot. I can't code that well, so I was using like a page builder to no code the website. So yeah, I mean, it turned out alright in the end, and it's got everything it needs to, and it's got good scores to it, so like speed and that. So I'm happy with how it turned out, considering I compressed like an entire 60 pages roughly into about 5 days, so that was fun. And yeah, so that's been keeping me busy. I like being kept busy though. It's good for just trying to keep it day by day. If you've got kind of a goal, or a short-term goal, in this case the website redesign was a short-term goal at the end of the week, it kind of just helps keep things busy, keeps it focused, but still kind of not, it's it keeps short-term goal, which is good. I don't really have any long-term personally, I don't have any long-term. I have the long-term goals that I need to for like work and that, but there's nothing really personal long-term goals at the moment, which is good, because that means that you kind of live day to day, which is what I'm doing, which is good, which is how I kind of get through it, because I see this kind of short viewing distance in front of me rather than just the long stretch, which is just helpful. I find that helpful. So yeah, that's been my last 2 weeks. And what did I do this week? This week, sorry, that was last week. This week, so actually last week, that was the week before. All the days become a blur. This week I've done more on the website. Not really done a lot, to be honest. This week it's been kind of a quiet, slow down week, which has been nice. Been nice working on a couple of Instagram accounts. And then my LinkedIn, finally, with my solid 88 connections, which I've nearly got to 500 now, so I'm happy with that. I've just had the profile and haven't touched it in like years, so revived that. Kind of half revived it. Still need to actually put some content on there, but yeah. So did that, and that's basically it. That's basically my week. So kind of just social, really. Kind of web week and then going into a social week. Personally, obviously, I haven't done a lot. It snowed today and yesterday, which was nice. Not a lot. Didn't really snow here. Like, everywhere around us, we're in Kent, I'm in Kent right now, so everywhere around us kind of got snow, except for, like, here, where we just got, like, barely any snow. But, like, all the roads around were all, like, shut, and there were accidents everywhere, except for, like, our little area, which was absolutely fine and just had, like, a little bit of snow. So, yeah. That was nice. I just like it when it's snow. I like the snow. It's good to... No, it's just different, and it's just... There's something calming about it. I just, calmed by the snow. Can that be a thing? That is a thing. I'm just going to check the audio quick. There may be some background feedback. Yeah, so the audio's fine. It's just, I just get a bit concerned because I, have, as many of you know, technical issues every single day. I dropped my laptop accidentally, obviously, which doesn't really help matters because now it runs really slowly. So I think I broke something in there. So yeah, that is something done. So what are we going to move on to now? Time to Talk Day, which was on the 4th, which was Thursday. Last Thursday was Time to Talk Day. No, it wasn't. Was it Thursday or Friday? It was Thursday, wasn't it? Yeah. So anyway, Time to Talk Day was all about how small conversations, small mental health conversations can make a big difference. And this is obviously something I can absolutely get behind, having a mental health talk show, which you're watching now. So I really love Time to Change. They've done such good stuff in terms of reducing stigma and actually tackling the conversational aspect of mental health, rather than say providing that kind of direct help and support. They're more about beating the stigma and actually encouraging those that may have not suffered from mental illness a kind of way of understanding and just being aware of the community, really. So yeah. So that got me thinking about a lot of things, and I did put a blog post on the website, and you can read that if you want. I'll link that in the description. But there was a thing about talking, fixing things, and I get this a lot from both those in the mental health community and those kind of outside that just kind of are like, why do you always bang on about talking all the time? I mean, talking isn't meant to fix things, and it doesn't, and talking doesn't solve mental health issues, as I feel like I need to state that, and that seems a simple point, which it is, but yeah, talking doesn't fix the problem, so just putting that out there, but actually it does help, in the moment. So for me, talking helps in the moment because, I'm talking right now. This kind of, as I said many times, is kind of my own therapy session more than anything else. But actually talking just helps me just, you know, process what's going on, because I'm vocalizing what's going on in my head, which means it's not in my head, it's out, it's to you. So that's kind of the first way. That's a bit hard to explain, but it kind of goes into that don't bottle everything up, a problem shared, and all that. And then the second is just, it kind of provides a step, because obviously in order to actually get support, you do have to talk, and that has to be to someone. You have to, like, ask for the help. Obviously there are times, say if you have a crisis, where you're normally, like, the help is provided, hopefully, but yeah, you've got to go and ask for that help. So I think talking about mental health just makes it something that's less kind of something that should be talked about. Like, you know, if you're on crutches, you normally ask, you know, what the issue is. And obviously with mental health, you can't do that as much. But it's that same idea of, you're right, you know, you were walking fine yesterday, did you, like, fall down the stairs or something? You know, it's a normal question you'd ask your mate who just kind of turns up on crutches. But, you know, with mental health, I get that that's a bit more difficult, and, you know, you can't really go into someone's backstory, and they might not even know themselves why they have mental health, but you can still help to kind of just see how they're feeling. So try and understand, like, why they might not want to, you know, play Fortnite, as an example. Other games are available, preferably other games, but you know, you can't, it's kind of something that should be part of a conversation. And I know I've worded this really weirdly, because I don't actually know how to kind of explain it, but I think the biggest thing for me is actually just making it something that just is there, and just something that everyone's aware of, and the understanding. Especially, like, normally, I guess, because I'm talking to people with mental health, like, all the time, I kind of, you know, you pick up things, you just kind of get used to people that are feeling a bit low. But, you know, when you actually understand that someone's not feeling well, you can kind of just have a bit of an awareness to kind of the context of the conversation. So how they might respond, if you think, ooh, that's a bit weird, is actually, oh, well, it's just because then they're going through a bit of a rough time at the moment, so they're not going to be overly pleased by that, or they're not going to respond in the way that would be expected, and that's okay. And so it's really just providing that kind of extra context. So it's not necessarily like reducing the stigma or like solving the problems, but it's just, you know, just helping the relationship and the friendship or whatever it is just be just a bit more open and accepting, and just, you know, just understanding it a bit better, which ultimately makes it a stronger connection, and, you know, you just have that closer friendship, and that, you know, that's a good thing. So that's kind of how I would approach talking, and how I would try and explain it, as, you know, it's just an opportunity. I mean, this is mainly aimed at people that, you know, are completely have a basic understanding of mental health issues, but have never experienced them before, or known someone that has, and, you know, they're not going to know what to say. You're not going to know what to say, and, you know, I think I don't get bothered by that. There are people that do get bothered by others, like, not knowing what to say, but, you know, it's not like, you're not a professional. You're not going to know how to respond to a conversation. You've just kind of got to go with the flow a bit, and realise that the conversation is just there to just help the kind of the normal relationship, the normal whatever that is, not always a relationship as in together. It could just be a friendship, but just kind of helping that just move along a bit, and that's a good thing. So I think that is something else I'd throw out there as well with talking. Right. Oh, we're halfway through already, and I've only got through my first bullet point. I know, this is like something I love talking about so much, as you can tell, because obviously, you know, we've been talking about mental health nearly 3 years now. 2 years and 8 months, to be precise. Which is a long time to be talking about mental health, but it's good. It's good to get the opportunity to try and explain things from someone who's suffered low mental health perspective, to try and, you know, just help kind of both sides as well. So talking of low mental health, another thing that I saw on Twitter actually, and it got me thinking about focusing on the mild side of mental health. So we've just said, and we've just kind of, there's all this talk about mental health stigma, and, you know, pretty much everywhere you go, there's someone telling you to talk, and the stigma's not there anymore, and, you know, it's all well and good. Which is fine for mild mental health. And by that I mean the stereotypical mental health. So if we think of anxiety or depression or even anorexia, the kind of the niceties of mental health. But then you get into the more kind of irrational and less understood mental health conditions, such as bipolar, schizophrenia, and these are still kind of stigmatized. You can't really go up to someone and say, I have schizophrenia, I have borderline personality disorder, in the same way you could probably go up to someone and say, I'm depressed. I mean, there's still that stigma there. And I think it's mainly connotated with danger, because obviously the misconception is that these are people that suffer are dangerous. And they're not. They're not. I mean, there are dangerous elements of them, and there's no getting away from saying that, and it has to be said. That but then there's that with eating disorders and depression and anxiety, all come with a similar element of danger to set the self and others. So it's not like that's anything new. It's just that, you know, stereotypically these are portrayed as being more dangerous, I guess. So serial killers, for instance. But that is not true. So it's just still stigmatized. And I think that's important to mention, because I get comments occasionally that, because obviously I talk from my own experience, and my own experience has been mild in that I have only faced low anxiety and depression, and I haven't really gone through the same kind of system and the same circumstances as other people. I've only been in hospital for about 10 days because of my mental health, so it's rather at the mild end. And I think that, yeah, we do probably forget on this channel the kind of the more severe end of mental health. And, you know, if we're going to talk about mental health openly, and we can't just talk about the bits we want to, we do have to recognise everyone and, you know, accept everyone. You can't just say, oh, well, we'll take the people with mild anxiety because, you know, we can handle that. But we can't handle the people with bipolar, so we're just going to ignore them and just not bother with them and just, you know, pretend they don't exist. And you can't do that. You can't talk about people with the mental health conditions you kind of cherry pick. So I did want to make that point. Again, this is a problem that I experience as well, because I can't cover the kind of content from conditions I've never experienced. So I do get this with Eating Disorders Awareness Week as well. And what I normally do is do a roundup. So for Eating Disorders Awareness Week, I've never had an eating disorder, so I will go to all the other blogs from people that have eating disorders and read their content. And I think that's, you know, that's the best thing you can do, is just acknowledge and accept that you're not going to understand it. There's no point you trying to understand it unless you want to, or like it's part of your job. You could you know, I understand a little bit of it, but, you know, I only really understand what I've been through, because we all talk from experience. So definitely going from a kind of just talking about things that you know, but then showing, you know, just acknowledging that there's things you don't know. And I think that's a fair thing to do. So I just wanted to make that point, because I get a lot of comments about that. So yeah, you are not forgotten. You're just, it's not something I'm able to talk about. So yeah, I just putting that out there. So now we are 10 minutes from the end of the show, and wow, we have covered a lot. I feel like I've just got really into those last two. So this is the time when we talk about the news, which we normally do first, but then I got distracted by talking about talking. So the news then, and how we're feeling about it. Not too much to talk about here, other than the South African variant, which we know is less. The Oxford vaccine is less effective for it, but that's not been peer reviewed, so we don't actually know yet if that's true. No, it's likely, because it's well commented on. So is that an anxiety that things are going to kind of take longer to get back to normal? Do you have an end date? I know we don't have an end date this time, so it's like, how are you coping with not knowing? Excuse me, how are you coping with not knowing an end date? See, my autism in the first lockdown, so going back to last March, my autism cannot handle not knowing when something will finish. Everything has to have a start and an end and a clear process or routine of how to get there. Everything. That is my autism, and that is me. So not knowing was really bad, and then I've kind of forced myself to, because there's nothing I can do about it. You know, I can't just storm to Downing Street and just be like, oi, give me an end date. My autism doesn't like not knowing what's going to happen. I think if you go back to watch some of the earlier blogs in May for Mental Health Awareness Week, a lot of what we were talking about was uncertainty, and how it was, you know, that's a word we threw around all the time, but how do we carry on, and how do we kind of work towards something when we don't know when it's going to be? And that's something that I've really struggled with. I think that's probably the biggest thing, and that's purely just because, you know, in order to kind of cope and to kind of plough through with my autism, I have to have those kind of structured points in a day, and, you know, in a week, and in a routine, so kind of infinitely everything is mapped out and everything has a plan, and it's, you know, A, B, C, and then you don't know when the end is, and that kind of really affects me. So yeah, I think I've got over that now. It still is, it's kind of there, but it's not really that bad anymore, which is good. And I'm actually quite fortunate to be in a position where I'm able to kind of override that slightly, and, you know, have that kind of control and that kind of ability to say, right, you know, you can't control this, just take a step back, think about something else, focus on the stuff you can control, focus on the coping mechanisms that do work, and I'm kind of able to shift, and that is quite difficult. It wasn't easy for me. You do have to be in a really good kind of position to do that, which luckily I was going into this pandemic. So yeah, I totally get that if you're struggling with that right now. That is something that I really did struggle with. So if that is also you, I totally get you right now. So yeah, how we're going to probably do a lot more kind of getting back to normal ones, and how we're all like adapting back into our usual routines and how things are going as kind of time progresses. I think it's too early to kind of talk about that on Mental Monday, because then we all start getting hopeful and longing for future plans, then it probably isn't the most sensible topic to choose, especially considering how that can really be, if we're all looking forward to this and we're all getting like, oh yeah, we're going to do all of this when lockdown ends, and then say a new variant happens and we all have to be locked back down again. I think we're going to hold off on the kind of the opening up kind of ones, but we'll definitely do them, and we'll talk about getting back to normal and how our lives are now and how we're all enjoying the tube into work every morning and that kind of stuff. So we will do that. But yeah, so I think then I'm just going to leave on, if you haven't already, to just ask someone about their mental health, or just ask someone how they are. You don't have to be like, how is your mental health today? And I think over-formalizing the conversation is also quite a problem. And I've had this issue a lot, and it's something I've written about on my blog actually, is how mental health has to be a conversation where you sit down, your pens are poised, notebooks out, and it's let's sit down and talk about mental health, which is probably not the best way of attacking the mental health conversation. You don't want to turn it into an operation. It doesn't have to be a kind of battleground or a kind of a formal meeting. So I think keeping things casual for me has really helped, and just being treated normally. Mental health conversations shouldn't mean changing the way you treat someone, or you go from wrapping them up in cotton wool. That's something that's happened. I do this a lot as well. I hold my hand up here. This does it's kind of a habit, is to be like, oh, how are you, every 5 minutes, and if you ever need to talk about anything, I'm here. And you can say that once and people remember. You don't have to always open it. I mean, just kind of being a bit more chilled and relaxed about it, and that that kind of contradicts it, because we've always been told no, you always got to be talked about your mental health, and you should always ask people how they are, or even ask them twice. There's an Ask Twice campaign from Heads Together, I think, or it might have been Time to Change actually, but the Ask Twice campaign last year and kind of other campaigns is all about talking and asking questions, and but keep things normal as well. Keep it real. Just chill a bit with it. Be a bit more just natural, and a part of being natural is not being shocked when someone says they're having bad mental health or they're not feeling great. That's also being like, yeah, okay, I'm here for you, anything I can do, and just kind of leaving it on them. And sometimes you could be a bit more coaxing, so you could say things like, hey, do you want to come around for a tea or something, obviously when it's allowed, or that kind of stuff. So you can be a bit more, you just use your judgment, I think, is the best thing, but just make it a bit more natural than just trying to make a formal conversation out of every mental health conversation. And there we go. That is my final thought, and you have just been watching Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health with me, Jake Symons. It's been great talking to you. I've really enjoyed this one. I need to do more about talking and about how to actually have a mental health conversation, because obviously talking's helped me the most. And that's why I have this, because talking helps my mental health, and being here helps my mental health, because I get to talk to all of you guys, and that's really helpful for me. So, a lot more talking to come. If you do want to reach me, you can reach me on Twitter and Snapchat at JakeusWrites, Instagram, Jake_Symons, or emails, or any of the links in the description below. I will see you in 2 weeks' time on the Monday, the 22nd, which is already on the website because I did it earlier, for the next episode of Mental Monday. In the meantime, do reach out. Samaritan's there if you need to actually talk to someone that's, not me. And yeah, there you go. That is it for today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you all again in 2 weeks' time. Bye.